The short squeeze is out of control, actually. And there was some drama yesterday, Wednesday, about shutting down WallStreetBets, the subreddit forum. What do you guys think? Should they shut it down? Is this market manipulation, or is this just an open market? This is how it's supposed to work. I got some insight coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I am the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. So the videos that we create here at Wise Money are intended to be timeless. I'm talking about real current financial events, trying to apply them to your life so that you can take your next wise step, all about all 6 areas of your financial life and making great decisions. And so when something comes up, I'm going to talk about it, and yet hopefully the information should be timeless. Well, on Monday I did a video about the short squeeze and what's happening with GameStop, and today I'm recording this before the market even opens on Thursday, January 28th, and the saga has only, it's like days of our lives. Or if you're into Showtime, this is like an episode of Billions. Like, I can't believe what's happening, and the question is, should this be allowed? And I'm going to share some perspective, but let me go back, okay? Shorting a stock is when someone, an investor, I would call it gambling, because you're heavily believing that a stock is going to go a certain direction in the short term. And I would tell you, predicting the pattern of an individual stock in the short term is like trying to predict the path of a leaf in a hurricane. It's just, there's way too many forces at work, okay? And so if you believe the stock is going to drop, you could just say, well, I'm not touching that, or you could try to profit off of it. And the way you'd profit off of it is if you sold the stock short, which means you don't even own it, but you borrow shares from someone else and you sell it. And then when the price goes down, you buy it back at a lower price, and the difference between those two is your profit. That's what you make. And then because you already sold it, when you buy it, you just return it to its rightful owner. Said and done. That's easy. Well, what happens if the price doesn't go down? What if it goes up? Well, then you've got to buy the stock back. Well, you could just wait. But eventually, if it never goes down, you've got to buy the stock back at a higher price, and then the difference between where you sold it and where you bought it, that's your loss, okay? Plus the fees for borrowing the stock in the first place. And so that's shorting the stock. Well, the short squeeze is when enough people start buying, enough people have shorted the stock. So there's a wide amount of people that have shorted the stock, and the price gets so high up that not only did it not go down, it is absolutely surging, that so many people that have shorted have to now buy it back at a high price. And because there's so much volume, now having to buy and buy and buy, that buying activity just continues to push the stock up higher and higher. That's the short squeeze. And a couple of hedge funds came out and were made aware that they were shorting GameStop, a retail a gaming company. So they sell video games, and so they were shorting these hedge funds making billions of dollars were shorting this stock. In fact, it had 138% short interest. I don't even know how that's possible. Apparently it's legal. We'll come back to this, but 138% of all the shares outstanding were being shorted. And but there was enough buying activity, so anyway, and a group of investors that were communicating on a platform on Reddit, a subreddit forum called WallStreetBets, started saying, hey, forget these guys. They think they've got enough power and influence and money to push this stock to the ground and profit off of it. Let's just start buying it. And they did. And they created a following. The stock went from $20 and it went up from 20 to 80 last Friday. Then it went from 80 to something else, to something else, to something else. Guys, yesterday, on Wednesday, GameStop was up over 100%, and it closed over $300 a share. At the time I'm recording this, the market hasn't even opened yet. I have no idea what the day is going to bring. It's up another 41% in pre-market trading, well over $400. GameStop, the company, has gone from a small cap stock to a medium cap stock to now a large cap stock within just a couple of days. Apparently these hedge fund managers, they have closed out their positions. They've capitulated, they've bought, they've secured, they've locked in their loss. But this subreddit group, the WallStreetBets, they've transitioned to other stocks and are trying to prop those up too. So the same thing happened with AMC Theaters. This company's been closed. They're obviously not making a lot of money, and they were up 100 and some percent yesterday. And so they're trying to do this to Blockbuster. That's right, the liquidation company for bankrupt Blockbuster. They're trying to do it for BlackBerry. They're trying to do it for Nokia. There's other places they're trying to do this. And it's gone from a short squeeze to now something potentially entirely different that will change markets. Here's what's going on. I saw an interview yesterday by CNBC and the CEO of an internet company. And CNBC, the anchor, was making the case that this is illegal. You shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be allowed to do this. And the CEO of this internet company said, why? Isn't this what hedge funds sort of do? I mean, how just is it that these hedge funds, with their billions of dollars and all of that influence in the markets, can short a stock so much that there's 138% short interest, and that influence really is designed to push the stock down? Why is it bad if a group of intelligent retail investors then do the opposite? And you should watch the interview. It's maybe we'll tag it below. The anchor was just stammering. He basically was like, this is unfair. And the CEO's like, what do you mean it's unfair? It's unfair because it happened to these hedge fund companies, and you know, when anything bad happens to them, they get bailed out anyway. How is this unfair? There's a question of whether they should shut down this subreddit group. And they actually did for a little bit. And if you watch, I saw some graphs of this. When they shut it down, and then when it reopened, those stocks that they were pumping up and promoting were actually going down quite a bit during the time when they shut down this subreddit group and when they opened it back up. Now, this is a form of market manipulation. Am I a fan? I'm not. And if you're out there in this group and you're profiting off of this, you know, I'm not against you. I'm just saying I don't necessarily like the market manipulation. But what I am saying is there's all sorts of market manipulation happening. I'd much rather have a free market that maybe has some ground rules and some boundaries, but a ground rule that says Wall Street banks are allowed to do something, but retail investors are not. That's not a free market to me. That is not. Just like as we all saw the stock market going down, 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 and then the Fed comes in and says we will print money for as long as it takes. I'm gonna give you an update on the Fed tomorrow about what they said this week. But what the Fed is doing is market manipulation, I would argue, and so. I mean, you can't change the rules just because you start to lose at the rules that you were once winning by. And so I disagree. I do not think they should shut down this WallStreetBets company, or the forum. To me, and this is going a stretch too far, but just bear with me. I grew up a hockey player, and there's this big argument about whether they should allow fighting in hockey. Well, why is fighting there? For a couple different reasons, but one of them is a natural governor on behavior. If someone goes out and does something they're not supposed to another player, there's a penalty. 2 minutes, okay? Well, big deal. If you're trying to injure someone or you're trying to influence the play, I'll give up 2 minutes to influence the entire game. But when fighting's allowed, that person, when they do something wrong, they know they're going to come after. They're going to have to pay a consequence that's bigger than 2 minutes. As a Detroit Red Wing fan growing up in the 90s, probably the most infamous such confrontation happened with Colorado Avalanche when Claude Lemieux had a cheap shot on one of the Red Wings players last season. And then very next season when they played, it all went down. And so there are natural laws to this that help govern behavior. To me, I don't think this GameStop stuff, it's eventually the music will stop on this thing, and eventually these investors are going to need to know, am I sitting on a chair or not? At some point, the pump will lead to dump and the stock is going to crash. There's no question about it, because GameStop, while a fine company, isn't a large cap company. And so investors will get burned here. However, that's the natural consequence, to step in and say, don't do this, but we're going to let Wall Street to do it over here, and we're going to let the Fed to do it over here. But you can't do this, retail. That to me, I don't want to say that's unfair. I'm just going to say that's not right. That's not right. How do you apply this to you? I would be very cautious, very careful about jumping onto hot stocks or meme stocks or in these forums to say, what should we pump next? Because you have no idea when the music's going to stop. You really, really don't. Eventually, long-term, valuations will matter. And so someone's going to get hurt in this, and people are making tons of money along the way. Great, but at some point it will end in disaster for those folks. And when that happens, if you're left holding the bag, that should be the lesson that, hey, maybe I shouldn't have been doing this in the first place. So I would tell you to steer clear of that, because I want you to invest taking the right level of risk for your overall long-term financial plan. So that's number one. I would tell you, don't buy into this hype, even though I say, they should let it happen. The second thing I would tell you is watch out when you're trying to make short-term bets on the direction of an individual stock, whether that's shorting a stock, which I would very, very much warn you against, or even buying a stock because you're just confident it has to go up. You never know. You just never know. For play money, sure, jump on it if you love a stock, or love a company, but make sure that your core investment strategy is diversified and momentum. Make sure your core investment strategy has those two components, and that you're investing consistently with your overall financial plan. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP, you can contact one on my team. Find us online at corehorn.com, that's Corehorn with a K, or wisemoneyshow.com, or just give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.